So let me share my screen.
Recording is on.
Let me share my screen now. Okay. Okay, I want you guys, anyone in the comments section, to confirm they can see my screen. Then I'll check that out. You guys can see my screen, let me know. Okay. All right. So this week's class is about we working with APIs in our Flutter application. From last week class, I'm sure you guys got some understanding about creating widgets, setting up your Flutter project, and the rest. So what we want to do for this class is making our apps integrate well with APIs. So I'll be using a lot Google a lot so that we can check for some meaning and some package setup also. Okay, so the first step of our class is knowing what API stands for. So API stands for application programming interface, where your backend developer develops some sort of APIs and your application interfaces with the API so that there can be sort of connectivity from the user's end to the server to the client and all those sorts. Okay. Um, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I will always try to check that. And if you guys are having any issues um, hearing me, let me also know that in the comments section also. Okay. So now we go to setting up the packages that we need inside our Flutter app. So I already made some setup, just some few setup, so I don't take too long in our class session today. So this is the folder structure for the class. Pretty simple and pretty basic, but to actually help us get what we want to achieve um, very well, smoother and faster. So for us to set up our package, we come to our pub spec file here, and we had this and this. So we can check. So the provider here is a state management. And what the state management does is just allows our Flutter application to know how interactive some widgets are behaving with the data. Okay, so that's how I see our state management work. There are different state management packages. So we have provider, we have stacked, we have block, we have river pod. So for this class, I'll be using provider. Pretty straightforward and also very interesting to use. So we'll be using provider. If we want to get more usage on how it works, which I'll also be showing you in the application, so we can come over to this section and see how it works. Okay. So after the HTTP is our network package, it simply allows us to talk to the API that will be provided to us, okay, based on the different protocols. Can just let's try read about that. Let's check some few things and okay, so high level function class. So it consumes HTTP resources from our backend application. So if you also want to check how it works and how to use it, you can come here and check for that. So the last one is the get it. Okay, the get it is more like a service helper. The way I use it. So what it basically does is it allows you to handle your data properly, okay, and how you'll be able to share them between or across your application. That's simply what Get It does. Allows you to manage your data properly. We can get to read more about that from here. So I'll be using Get It also. So those are the packages. Those are the packages I'll be. Please, I am not seeing any screen. Okay. So I think that person is already sorted. Okay. Okay, if you can't see my screen, just as the moderator already said, just try clicking on my name over, I think it's at the top, so you can be able to see my screen instead of you seeing your your name. I think. So I think that should solve that. Okay. So now that we've set up our packages, okay, now let's go to our folder structure. So the simple folder structure I have here is the models. Models is where our response model from the API will be setting. Okay, we have our models folder. Services is where we'll be writing our classes that will be talking to the APIs. UI is the screen, is where we'll be writing our screen that will be displaying the data from the APIs. And utils is more like our application, um, how will I call it, util provider, like utilities, in case we need to handle multiple tasks. Okay, so we have our utils here. If there are other folders I've not yet added, I will definitely add that during our video. But this this right here is the basic setup for what we want to achieve tonight. There are other basic structure or other structure when it comes to building your application to integrate with the API services. So currently right now I'll be using the MVVM architecture approach. So you guys should all check that out. So what this simply means is our model, we have I think it's model view model, I think. So we should all try reading about, we have different architectural approaches, actually. We have the MVP, model view presenter, I think. So but I'll be using the MVVM approach here. So um so the API we'll be working with today is the Open Weather API. So let's go back to so that's picking an API. So if you guys have any question, do let me know in the comment section. I can try to be attending to some if it won't take much of my time. Okay. So we want to pick our API. So I'll be using the Open Weather API. It's a very simple and very interesting API to use. That was what I started off with when I was learning mobile. So Open Weather API. So the Open Weather API is just an API that gives reports on weather in your environment, location. It gives to some accurate level, I think. I'm not yet tested for the accuracy, but I feel it does well. So for every API you are given, you should try to understand how it works, and that involves communicating with your backend developer or the documentation that is provided to you. So the Open Weather provides a key, and I have created that for our class this night. So this copying this key. I think I've already set it. So the service folder will also contain the endpoints that I'll be using, which we'll get to. So I'll be hiding my keys. So I had all my keys in here. Let me replace. Yeah. Also, let me know if you guys can see my screen clearly. Okay. Okay. All right. So I had all my constants in here called the API constants. Now it's very important for you to hide your keys, secret key, public keys, and make sure you set them publicly, locally on your device. Is what we call security measurement when you're integrating with your APIs. So there are ways to protect and set up your keys locally. So we can also try reading on that. So as to prevent we disclosing our keys to the outside, which can lead to hacking, which is not good. So I said that in a very separate folder. There are different which you can actually do this. When I do this, I try to use GitHub to hide it, but I've not yet set up GitHub for this project, so we can just try reading more on that. So the next thing is so let's try reading more on the documentation that these guys are providing us. So where is that located? APIs. Okay, so this is a particular API that we'll be using. The one called API is API as you go API. There are other APIs we can try using. Okay. So, but the one we provided with is, I think, yeah, there's a free plan API, hourly forecasts. I think these are the things we can enjoy from our API. So, go back here. So I cleaned it up. Okay, so now it's very important you should understand how your API is going to work and the requirements that are needed. So this is our API link, which we'll be talking to or connecting to, and APIs. So there are different terminologies in which you can use your APIs with. So the HTTP gives up to 4 or 5, I think. That's the we have the post, we have the get, we have the pass, we have the put, and which else? I'm seeing a read here. Okay. So there are up to, and each of them serve different purposes based on how the backend developer have set you to use the APIs. Okay, post is mainly when we use it to make post requests, like sending some data to the backend through the API. Put is more like when they need us to update some particular um, activities in the backend. So put does that. Get is used for retrieving data from the backend through the API, and delete is used to delete some certain data, okay, from in the database or server from the with the API. And we have pass. Pass is I think part rather, to kind of adjust the data, I think, and read. This is the first time I'm saying about it. Maybe more like to talk to a particular, or maybe to ping a particular API to see if it is actually going to respond. So those are the different ways our APIs can be talked to, can be used. So particularly this one, we'll be using just one approach, which is the get approach. And I think it should be stated here. API, making an API call. So I think it should be get. So these are all the data that we'll be getting from our API response. Okay, just from just from this link, we'll be able to get this needed data. And sometimes, so parameters are needed by the APIs so that you can actually know the exact data you want to get from the backend. So in this case, in our open weather API, we are needing, we'll be using practically, I think, three parameters: the lat, the long, and our API key. I think we can play around with the exclude. Okay, so the parameters will allow us to get the specific data from the specific points we want it. Okay, so now that we are done with picking an API, so now we want to test this API. Okay, it's very also important to test your API. It's part of knowing what your API does. Okay, it's very important to know what your API does. So it's very important you always test it. So my very important testing tool is Postman, just as I stated here. So I'll be using Postman to test our particular API here. So I've already done some couple of written this down. Okay, but I'll be clearing that, so I just start out all over. So Postman is a software that you can use to test your API. So I use here to test my APIs from the backend developers that I work with. So you can be able to know where the issues are coming from, how your data looks like. If you guys need to update the data, you let them know immediately. So we're using that. So let me copy this here and I'll paste it right here. Okay, so in Postman, just as it was stated here, the parameters that are needed. So we'll be inputting these parameters one by one. So this is the lat and long is the location where I am currently. So I'll be getting that using Google. Let's see. I want to use Lagos. To check the weather over there. So I can get our longitude and latitude here. Okay, I don't know if this is. Let's try it. Okay. Okay. So we'll be using Ikeja. Basically, our lat is always first. So I'm putting that here. Longitude. Okay. Longitude. Exclude. I'm using that for now. Our API key. So I'll be going here to grab our API key. So most endpoints we always provide you your API key or token. So what they do is it tries to help with security when you're trying to make calls to the API. So these keys are unique key to a particular application or product. So it's only provided to the particular user that is using it. So if you want to share it, you can share it where other people will get to use it. But it serves as a security. Let's just say it as a key to open the door. If you don't have the key, there's no way you can access the door. So that's how our API works. Our API keys, that's how they work. And if they are wrong, if your API key is set to be wrong, you won't be able to access the API. So now, just as I said, this is a great request. We can check more here. So there are lots of ways to use our endpoints or APIs. So there are I don't know, but this is based on how the API is set for you to use it. So I make a testing of this, and okay. So now I'm saying I have an invalid API key. So let's see what happened. Set it active. Okay. Let me try changing this. Okay, same ish. Let me try checking with documentation for this. Okay, current. Where is here? Okay. I don't know why that is happening. Okay. Okay, I think it's working now. Okay, that was I think it's due to it's been a while I've used it. So now it works. So just click this again. So let me see if I try my usual version. Okay, so apparently the API works for this specific version. So let's just stick to that. Okay, so now that we've tested our API and it works fine, it works good. We are seeing all this data. There's so many data here. So this is the time zone. Hope you guys can still see my screen. Let me check comment section. Okay, can you guys confirm if you guys can still see my screen? Okay, all right. Thanks. So let's head back here. So these are our current details of the weather, DT, sunrise, sunset, temperature. I think temperature is that should be in Fahrenheit, I think. So let's go read more on this documentation. Okay. Okay. Units. Let's clear our units. What units might be required? Measurements, metric, standard, language. Okay, current time. So these are the information to our response. So I'm trying to check. The how will I call it, the units, yeah, the current unit version for our temperature, our pressure, our humidity, so we can actually know what data we are talking to. So we have the hourly data. I think we're given hourly, we're also given daily. So the API only provides us with hourly and daily. So that's what we'll be going with. So let me see, check here for okay, temperature units defaults. So units is in Kelvin. Matrix is in Celsius. Empire is in Fahrenheit. Okay. So we'll be converting. So just as I said earlier, parameters allows you to target the specific points for your data through the endpoint. So currently we are using the default unit setting, which made our temperature to be returned like this. So we'll be switching to the matrix unit. So I'll update that in my parameters here as I was given. Yeah, so I copy this unit. I go to my postman. I collapse this. So can we have that here? Units. And I had my metric. Okay. Metric units. Okay. So yeah. So let's see the response. Okay. So now we're in metrics here. So now our data now looks as we want it to look like. So we have our temperature to be 27.1 degrees Celsius. In Lagos, Ikeja, I think it's pretty cold. In Lagos is 9 to 10. So we have our humidity and we have our visibility clear, we have our wind speed. So if you just want to read more about this, everything will be well set in a document and we'll share it to our Discord channel for you guys to check on and play around with. Okay, so now that we've tested our APIs, we knew what was wrong at first, then we got it fixed. And now the next thing is for us to set up our API models. Okay, so from your response, you get to create your models. So your model is the way your app will be able to pass this data, okay, the JSON data. Okay, the API response is in form of JSON. So our model will be able to make an understanding of how the JSON data is being put to us. So I'll be copying that here. So there are different ways for you to create your model, okay, from a JSON data. So basically, I use two approach. It's based on how um, the app wants it or how the company you are with requires you to have that. But this is a very general approach. So we use QuickType, and there's also the JSON. This JSON to that. Okay, it's also very simple um, converter. So it converts our JSON to that also. But we'll just be creating our model. Our model will also be in that. So I'll create a name for that. API data model. And so now we have our model here. It's pretty fast. Created from this data we have over here. Okay, so you can use the exclude. I'm seeing that there are a lot of data here. That's why we can use the exclude to exclude any form of data we don't like, but we'll just still keep going with what we want to do. So I'll copy all these. I won't be using freeze. Freeze is a way that allows you to I call it eliminate sending null data to your backend. Okay, so freeze allows you to manage that so that your app or the backend developer doesn't get disturbed with the data you're sending. And also it helps manage the way the null data you're receiving will be handled with the app. But right now I'll be ignoring that because we will need to generate some level of Flutter run builds, which might be for later advanced process. So now we'll be using this for now. Then what else again? Create, generate copy, use method name from map. Okay, so I think we are good to go. Then I'll copy this. So when I copy that, I come to my model here. Then hope you guys can see my ID screen properly. And create side. Okay. I just paste that here. Copy. Okay, hope you guys can see my screen. Let me know in the comments section. I'm there right now. Okay, hope you guys can see my Android, my ID screen. Okay, so many errors, so many errors, so many errors. Let's see. We can make all required. Let's make all required. Let's see if that should solve. Okay. Didn't. Let me see. Make all optional. Okay, so I think I need to add a node handler. Okay. Copy. Okay. This is happening because of the amount of data that we have. So just try making sure. Okay. Let's just type only. Then, okay. These guys need to be formatted. Okay, I think okay. So I think I'll just go ahead with using to that. I don't know why this guy is not performing well tonight. I don't know. It's supposed to properly type my data very well. I don't know why it's not doing that. Okay. Because it will be time taking me typing this, making this data well typed. So let's use this other guy. I'm using to that. And let's see. Let me copy this again. Copy. Okay, so let me copy this. Okay. Okay, I think this works. I don't know. I think maybe it's developer issues that happened with this website, because this is typically what I use for some projects. So I don't know why it's failing me tonight, but it works fine. It works good. So now that we've generated our model, okay, that we that we'll be able to make sense of our JSON data. Now we need to come to our service and set up the API endpoint properly. So I'll be creating a class on that, and I'll copy this guy and just, yeah. Okay, so but I won't just copy this guy just like this, okay, because this is more a bad habit. So I'll be making my API taking parameters, yeah, from the service we'll be writing soon for it. So the way that is done is I get to update this like this. Okay, so the main parameters are in string. So string lat string and what else again? And our API key string. Then we update that to be the past data. So I do that like this. And or you can just simply do this. So this will always take in our latitude to make our API well dynamic enough. Our longitude. And our API key. All right, so so I won't be able to make this constant since it's dynamic enough. If you guys have any questions, let me know, please. Any advantage of writing your own model over general? Oh, it's just about time, okay? It's just about time. You can write your view model yourself. You can write your model yourself, but it's about the time, okay? So it's very, very okay you generate it yourself. And there are a couple of ways to generate your model. There's the basic fast approach, which is what we just did right now. And there's the um, freezed approach. Okay. So this website provides the freezed approach. Now, when you use the freezed approach, you have to install a Flutter generates builder. Okay, so it builds the model in a very well secured way. Okay, so it's just best for you to generate these models yourself. Okay, so that you can get things done faster and easier. Okay. Did I answer your question, Oyeka? If you can hear me clearly, let me know if I did. Okay. Okay, so let's get back here. Okay, so I have my endpoints. So the endpoints file will contain all the endpoints that I'll be using inside my application. It contains everything. All right. So for every API, it works with what we call headers. Okay, so we'll be getting to that soon. Okay, so now that we've tested our API, we've tried setting up our API models, we've added the models to the app. Now we want to write our services and constants. I think we've already written our constants already, and I've talked about that. So we'll be writing our services now. So the way services should be structured in your MVVM architecture, all services should be well separated. Okay, so if you have APIs for different calls, okay, you should try to create different services for them. It's not about your app size will be large or something. It allows for easy readability and error tracking. So assuming there's another API that these guys are providing for us, I think there was one other API that is about okay, current weather. So you create different services for the way your API endpoints are given to you. So we have our weather service here. So I'll be calling the model I created here inside my service. So our API calls, all API calls in Flutter are feature async calls. So I'm doing this. Basically, I'm trying to return. Let me be quick with this because we still have long way to go. So the parameters are okay. So okay. So it's showing an error because I need to return this data, so which will get so my variable was HTTP, which is already set here. Dot get using get using URI. So my URI is this API endpoint, the weather API. So I call the class properly. APIs need their headers. So headers typically helps you pass some, I like call it some, allows you to know how you want to get the JSON data that is coming, how you want to get the data that is coming from the backend, and also the data you want to be put into the backend. If it requires you sending some API keys without you using parameters, okay, that's what our headers help us to do. They also help structure the way our endpoints will be interacting with the backend or the server rather. So let me write that. So header. So I'll be calling. So I have all my headers here. So I have to just bring one in. So we have headers that are authorized. Okay, they allow your API key to always work. They allow your API endpoint rather to only work when you pass this. Okay, and there are some customized approach where authorized might not actually be authorized, so it might be another value. So that's why we have customized one here. So we're going with this the request header. So is that here first? Can I go to my okay, it requires okay. So now that we have this set, now we need to decode the body that we need to decode the JSON response that we get from this our API. Unless our app will just be seeing it as like maybe some strings or something. So we need to properly decode that. So we'll be using the JSON converter to make sense of that. So I'll create this JSON data equals JSON converter. Decoder rather. So let's use decoder. Right. So okay, should be that should be my body. Let's check. Oh, wait. Okay. So let's see why this is returning. Okay. So what do we do here? String. Okay, let's try to see what. So So probably I think I forgot how to use my decoder. So let's Google that really. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Um, okay. Okay, so we have some help here. Okay. Apparently seems this is all we're missing right here. Let's see. Oh, I don't know why that error is coming up. Is it due to my converter? Okay, let's try using this parser. Okay. Okay. Using the wrong. Sorry. Okay, I was using the wrong converter. So I would just copy this. Okay. So I've gotten that fixed. Because I don't know why we don't work with that. So sorry. Okay, so now that we have that, now we need to. Do I have any questions? Okay. So now let's try passing our JSON. So now this decoder helps us make our data well typed. So then this we're returning it. Okay. So now that we've written our service right here, so it is a simple way of writing your service for your particular endpoint that you have been provided with. Now, for us to make our service work very efficiently with any of our screens and view models, we will set it up with our get it, okay, so that it can help us handle the API services properly, and also try to keep the data in some sense to be used across other screens. So I'll be going to my locator setup, which I have here. I just had a quick setup on that. So commenting this out there. Yes. Okay, so we have set that one up. Now I need to uncomment that in my main. Okay, so now we've written our API services here. We'll set up that. So now we've written our service. Now what we need to do next is to create our view model. So our view model we help us just help us hold some of this data for the particular screen we're using it for. Try to also handle any interactivity from the user, and we can also dynamically set our data from the view model. So that's what we'll be doing with our view model. So with the MVVM approach, the view model is particular to a specific home screen, just as I have it. There are other ways you can try setting this up yourself. So I'll try creating that home extend. I want to call the service that we've written here, in the proper approach using get it. Okay. So service service locator. So I just called my weather service inside my view model. Okay, so let me name this view model. Okay. So in your view model, you will want to try initializing most of the variables, or you're making your first calls, auto setup. So I'll be writing that right now. If you guys have any question, let me know in the comment section. So because I'll be staying long on my screen. Okay. So now I want to write our view model. So I start off with okay. Yes, okay, so now we have our weather service here, and let's try setting our parameters for the weather. So the string where's our API location? Okay, let's go to our postmark. So this. Yeah. Let me try setting up the API key right here. So now we'll just call our API from here, the weather API. Call it from here. And my out constants. Okay, so now that we've set up our view model, start writing. So let me just try calling. So we've created our view model and creating our UI. Maybe let's try doing this first. So let's connect our service first. Let's do that. Let's connect our service first to our view model. So weather model right again in my view model. Okay. Okay, I think one of the moderators have is Grace here? Hello moderators. Can we still continue with the class? Guys.
So we can continue because it looks really long.
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So we can continue next week, and we can
Okay,
finish
okay.
up because it looks like there's still a lot of things to do. So they can move the remaining to next class. But I hope that
Okay.
everyone learned one thing or the other. And also, we'll be pushing this repo and then the video. We're pushing the code to our repo, and then so that by next class, they'll be already familiar with the code here, and then they can follow along in next class. Right.
Okay, I think that would be
Okay.
okay. Okay, so guys, if you guys have questions on what we've been doing, so let me know right now. Like I'm here with you guys. So I'll stop in my sharing. So let's talk. Let's discuss. Any questions? Do you guys understand what we've gone through today in the class?